And welcome back to the limited run, and I'm going to be calling this Shitting on the Thrones, because that's what we'll be doing here with the second part of the four-part money series here on JB's Driving Podcast Network, where we'll be talking about the season 8 of Game of Thrones, specifically episode 4, which has been panned across the board. So appreciate all the support that the first episode got. If you're not familiar with it, please go ahead and check it out. It is on the archives. As well as make sure to check out Paul and I's regular show, JB's Driving Podcast, where we review and tear apart movies. Now, Game of Thrones episode 4. Not very good. And I was thinking about it just from 10,000 feet up in the air, looking down upon this series. I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons why this season so far is just not fulfilling expectations is that it is very minute in its universe. We were so used to, for seasons, traveling across Westeros and Essos, that now we're confined essentially to Winterfell and King's Landing. There is nothing else that matters. They've forgotten about everything else. I think that shows a lack of depth by the writers. And continuing on that vein, the lack of depth of the writers in this episode, this season, is just coming to the forefront. And let's talk about some of the things in this past episode that we saw. Arya, I mean, talk about a complete 180 in the actual show itself, where one moment she cares about her family.
Arya.
We're family. The 4 of us. The last of the Starks.
And the next moment, she doesn't want to go back to Winterfell.
I don't plan on coming back.
Neither do I.
You want to talk about a Mary Sue, someone who does nothing wrong, out on her own. Arya fills that. I know there was a lot of consternation on the internet. Is she a Mary Sue? If you don't know what that term means, go ahead and look it up. I'm not going to spell it out for you. She's perfect. She's flawless. All these other characters are flawed, except for Arya somehow. She's Supergirl. Just, ugh. How about the way that they've emasculated both Jaime Lannister and Jon Snow in this? What did Nicholas and Kit do to the writers? They must have done something. They must have slept with their wives. I have no idea. All allegations, not the truth. I want to make that clear. But the way that they have completely destroyed both characters, for example, and you've heard this, the way that he just completely blew Ghost off at the end. I mean, really? This is the wolf who saved his ass. This is the wolf who stayed by his side. He's going to blow him off? That makes absolutely no sense to the character of Jon Snow. No sense at all. Just making a fool of him. And then you have Jaime, who goes crawling back to Cersei for what we know. I'm flawed, blah, 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 blah. Go back to go back to the earlier season. I know he's changed as a character, but it doesn't mean that his honor has somehow disappeared, or his common sense has disappeared either. Completely emasculated. I mean, look at the way that Bronn comes in. That's another Bronn. That scene. He comes waltzing in there, completely out of character, completely devoid of charisma. What will you give me? Completely different than his earlier incarnations in the earlier seasons. Tyrion, he comes waltzing in with a crossbow. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's going to stop me. No guards at all, right? This is a noble house, no guards at all. Ridiculous. Absurd. I know that Jaime didn't go to Winterfell with any of his house members, but you have to remember that Tyrion is the hand of the king. Hand of the king would have some guards with him there. How about how Dothraki and Sal? How are there some Dothraki left? They're going. Jon is taking some Dothraki south with him to meet up with Dany's forces. They're going to converge at King's Landing. I thought I saw last episode all the Dothraki, except for a few, when I say a few, I literally mean 2 or 3, wiped out. You saw the scene with Dany and Jon up on the hill, looking down upon the forces with flaming swords, get totally wiped out by the White Walkers and the Whites, and the undead. Now there's magically some left. The same with Unsullied. Most of them were wiped out. Now they're magically forces. Ridiculous. Here's one that really gets me. Really, really gets me. When Dany is taking her 2 dragons south, and they are, quote, surprised, unquote, by Euron Greyjoy's fleet, makes no sense at all. First off, dragons can fly. They can look down the boats. It makes no sense for them to be surprised. And then later on in the Beyond the Episodes, you have a case where one of the writers, I forget, DB or the other, David, says that Dany forgot about Euron.
Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces. They certainly haven't forgotten about her, and they're just waiting for her to come back at this point.
Absolutely ridiculous, since earlier in the episode when they had the War Council, Varys reminds everybody there, including Dany, that Greyjoy reinforced Cersei's army with the Golden Company.
And the Golden Company has arrived in King's Landing, courtesy of the Greyjoy fleet. The balance has grown distressingly even.
Where is the continuity, people? Where is the continuity? I do enjoy the fact that the Night King is completely irrelevant. They've moved on completely past that. That's been one of the central focuses. He's gone. What to do? Let's just talk about a disappointment, a gigantic disappointment. No follow-up in episode 4 about the Night King except for kissing Arya's ass. Nothing there. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and this one gets me as well. Tyrion at the end of the episode, Tyrion goes up to the wall, and is parlaying with Qyburn, the Hand of the King for Cersei. Then he walks past Qyburn, looks up to Cersei, and starts saying, "You have a baby to look after." Meanwhile, earlier, Cersei confirms to Euron that they have a baby together. Remember that? But wouldn't Euron understand that? How does Tyrion know about the baby? What's going on here? No reaction from Euron. Completely dumbass. Just no reaction. Oh, well. Duh. Makes no sense at all. What else makes no sense? What about Varys and Tyrion talking about who should be the king? Is it either going to be Jon or is it going to be not Cersei? Is it going to be Dany? Varys, who is the spy master, is shouting this. I mean, he's talking about this out in the light. You think he'd have a little bit more sensibility to be talking about this? Tyrion, so just outwardly, maybe a little bit of the core. And then, of course, I mean, there's a lot of other things that we can gripe about. How the hell were they having a Winterfell feast when the entire place was destroyed? The entire place was destroyed, but they're having Winterfell. Candelabras, everything is fine. Everything is fine. It doesn't make sense. All in all, it was a disappointing episode. I hope that there's some redemption in the next 2 episodes. I don't think they're going to be, unfortunately. It is what it is. I think this is the fact that we don't have Martin's work, his source work, written down and just relayed to these 2 writers who've completely destroyed it. Yes, it's a letdown, a complete letdown. I mean, it just, again, it's gone from multi-dimensional to a one-dimensional world where nothing is just, there's no continuity. Anyway, make sure to listen to JB's Drive-In Podcast. It's on the same network with me and Paul. We are currently reviewing Jurassic Park, and we'll be reviewing Jaws next. Also, make sure to go to Maryland Podcast Month, where we are celebrating here in Maryland, led by redmaryland.com. Make sure to check them out, the world of podcasting. And there's a Facebook page, Maryland Podcast Month, and we look forward to promoting that throughout the month. Anyway, have a good weekend. Let's pray for the next 2 episodes.